Welcome to Fearopoly Street, the podcast where elder millennials have a fun and socially aware discussion about the 90s cult classic horror series, Fear Street. If you never read the book or it's been a while, we provide a detailed chapter breakdown and include modern-day reflections on the story and its themes. I'm your host, Michelle Hanson, and this week I'm joined by Kristen Green.
Hello, that's me. I'm Kristen. I am a Ohio native. I was born in Toledo. I've been in Columbus for a long time, and I majored in theater at The Ohio State University. So I do acting, and I play, and I write music, and I've done some improv, just a little bit of all the performance sides. Yeah.
And some people might have seen you in a few films that were also produced by Fearopoly.
Yes, we've had a very good working relationship. I was in Ghoul Girl, was one of the earlier ones. I was in season 666. Eventually I'll be in Retreat.
Whenever that comes
Desperate
out.
Measures. Lots of projects over the years.
Yeah. So today we are going to discuss The Prom Queen, which came out in March 1992. It's the 15th book in the series, and I plan on reviewing each book in chronological order, but with the Netflix special, I wanted to start with The Prom Queen. So, Kristen, how old were you in March 1992?
I had just turned 7 years old.
So prom was far from your mind.
It was just a fantasy that was still far, far away for me. So, yeah.
Okay. In March 1992, I was at the tail end of my 7th grade year.
Ooh.
So I was 12 years old and, not thinking about prom at
Had
all.
you been to a school dance yet?
I think, we did in my school cafeteria. We did have a dance, and all the boys stayed on one side, and all the girls were on the other
Was it
side.
just your school or other schools too?
It was just my school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think it was 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. My school went from pre-K to 8th grade.
See, ours, we had other, kids from other schools there, but still you mostly just kept with, your own school. Okay. Yeah, your little friends. And they were nothing like prom or what I ever envisioned a school dance to be like anyway. So.
Yeah. Okay, so you were 7 and I was 12. And so we'll start with The Prom Queen.
So this is the description of the prom queen on the back of the book. A spring night, soft moonlight, 5 beautiful prom queen candidates, dancing couples at the Shadyside High Prom. These should be the ingredients for romance. But stir in one brutal murder, then another, and the recipe quickly turns to horror. Lizzie McVeigh realizes that someone is murdering the 5 prom queen candidates one by one, and that she may be next on the list. Can she stop the murderer before the dance is over? For good?
The Prom Queen takes place in Shadyside, which is a small fictional town in Ohio. And R.L. Stine grew up in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, I always forget that, but yes, he did.
Which is where we are. So I think we are perfect to discuss what Shadyside probably is like.
Absolutely. We've been to some of the small towns around here for various reasons, filming or,
So with Prom Queen, it opens up, we meet high school seniors Dawn, Rachel, and our narrator Elizabeth McVeigh, but she goes by Lizzie. And they are talking about a recent Fear Street murder. It's right after gym class, and they're talking in the locker room before their next class. And a classmate, Stacy, was murdered in her bedroom and was found in Fear Street Woods the week before. And Rachel is scared because she lives across the street from Fear Street Woods. And the group is your stereotypical group of friends. They're popular, they're mean.
Yeah, they're very... So Stacy, she wasn't their schoolmate. Was she the one that went to a different school?
Did she go to a different school?
I can't remember now.
It's quite possible. I thought she went to their school and they just didn't interact with her. I can't remember. But she was really nobody to them. She's just some random.
Yeah. Well, and especially like the way they're talking about it, it was just so like callous and casual. Like,
yeah.
it was kind of weirding me out. Like, okay, like I have some morbid or dark humor sometimes, but even this was like, wow, these girls are little sociopaths.
Yeah. And Dawn, she's very competitive. She's catty. You have Rachel, and I kind of got this like follower vibe from her.
Yeah, and she was the one whose family doesn't have a lot of money, so
Yes.
yeah.
And they talk about that a lot.
A
They
lot.
mention how poor she is, and they keep using the word poor.
Poor.
She's so poor. She's so poor she has to work at 7-Eleven.
Ugh,
How
horror,
dreadful.
yeah.
And then Lizzie, our narrator, she's the girl next door type. She's friends with everyone, but for some reason she likes to hang out with the mean girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they briefly talk about the murders, and then they go on to important matters, the senior prom.
Prom, yes, absolutely.
So what was your prom like?
Oh my gosh. None of my proms were very memorable, like, at all. They kind of blur in with the homecomings and the Sadie Hawkins and the other formal dances I had in high school. There just wasn't, there wasn't anything all that special about it. Like, picking out my dress was fun. Like, I remember one year I wore like it was a kind of a puffy, like iridescent blue skirt with like a tank top, like halter top
Okay.
that matched it. And then the next year I thought I was being really sophisticated, and I got like a strapless white dress with like all this black detail. But in the pictures, like, I was outside all the time, so I'm super like tan, and like it did not go with me, like my coloring, like at all, and my hair gets really, it's like a light brown, so it just it was not the right choice for me. But I stayed with mostly my own friends. I don't know if we even got a limo. Like, there was no like,
Okay.
ooh, who's gonna hook up tonight or anything
Yeah.
like that. I wasn't a goody, but I also, like, I didn't drink. I
Yeah.
didn't smoke. I wasn't really all that, like, sexually active, so there was no, like, drama around that stuff either. It was just a night out with friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
My
That's
senior
it.
prom, well, we had junior, senior as well. So
Yeah.
I went in 1996 and then in 1997. And both my proms, my school had the rule that you had to have a date. You could not go stag. You could not go as like a group of friends. Everyone had to like have a date.
See, I did have a date. Like, I did have a specific date because I did have a boyfriend, like a high school sweetheart, but I don't remember if that was like the rule. Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, that was the rule. You had to have a date. And obviously, like, it had to be boy, girl. You couldn't, nice little Catholic school. Yeah, definitely boy, girl. And yeah, it was still fun though. I went
Yeah, but so
with guy
friends couldn't even, like...
Well, friends were allowed to go together. You just couldn't go like I don't want to say a threesome, but like you couldn't have like 3 people go together.
But like 2, like even just your platonic, like
that
female
was,
friends?
no.
Yeah,
it was,
that's what I mean. 2 like females, even if they're literally just friends?
Nope.
Wow, okay.
Boy, girl, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So for our Shady Side seniors, prom is 5 weeks away, and they have 2 concerns: who will be their prom date, and where prom is being held.
Oh, I thought you were going to say who was going to be prom queen.
Oh, well, they don't know yet.
That's true. They haven't had the nominations yet. Okay, yeah. Where's the dance going to be? And their dates.
And their
various dates.
Well, because Lizzie has a boyfriend, Kevin. Yeah, Kevin.
That was my high school sweetheart's name.
So Kevin his dad is in the Army, and he was recently relocated to Alabama. So they're in a long distance relationship, Ohio to Alabama. And funny enough, when I was reading this, I was on a flight to Alabama for a work conference. Yeah. So I was like, RL, are you following me? What's going on?
Getting to feel the distance between the 2 star-crossed lovers.
So Lizzie and Kevin are long distance, and because it's 1992, there's no cell phones, there's no internet, there's no anything. The only way that they can communicate is either through long distance phone calls or snail mail, like
Letters.
writing a letter. And I looked it up because I was curious, And a long distance phone call was 25 cents a minute, and the cost of a stamp was 29 cents.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. So
letters it is.
Yeah. 25 cents a minute. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you get to talk for almost 5 minutes for $1. Like, it's not really that bad.
Yeah, but when you're that age, like, I don't like talking on the phone now. So to me, now it sounds fine. But at the time, I mean, that's kind of how it was for me. We had the internet, but it was still really slow. So a lot of it was mostly on the phone. I could talk on the phone, especially to my boyfriend for hours because we didn't go to the same school. So we had a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, and I bet Lizzie and Kevin would have a lot to talk about on a day-to-day basis.
So that sucks. But also letters can be so, like, intimate. But yeah, by the time the person gets it.
Really, yeah.
When you're that age especially, it's like, oh, that's old news now.
That happened 3 days ago.
Yeah. And also just the whole idea of a long-distance relationship. As soon as I saw that, I was like, I do not have high hopes for Lizzie and Kevin.
So Lizzie isn't sure who she's going to go with because Kevin's in Alabama and he doesn't have permission yet to go to prom. It's 5 weeks away. It's fine. And Dawn is hoping to go with any of the popular boys at Shadyside. And Rachel is dating Gideon. Oh, Gideon. But he hasn't asked her yet.
Right. Yeah. So it's like not quite known for sure if they're going to go together.
Mm-hmm. And then their second concern of where prom is being held at the Halsey Manor House, which is smack dab in murder capital of Shadyside, Fear Street Woods.
Right in the Fear Street Woods. What a great choice. So at this point, there's only been the one Stacy girl who was found there. I still think that should be enough to say maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not have it there.
Yeah. Would be my vote, but
I assume Shadyside has like a gym. They could just throw the prom there. Maybe.
That's true. They talk about like their sports teams it's Ohio, so they can't play all their sports outside. They have to have some sort of gymnasium.
Yeah. This is what they were talking about when they were in gym class, in the locker room. So later that day, there's a school assembly to see who has been nominated for prom queen.
Yes. Inexplicably, all three of our main girls. And then Simone, who is the theater gal of the school apparently, and Elena, who they describe like a porcelain doll. So I just picture like dark hair, like light skin, and like rosy cheeks.
They also learn that during the assembly that if you win prom queen, you get
$3,000.
$3,000.
I mean, I would take it. I'd take it.
Oh, yeah.
But
it doesn't say it's for like a collegiate scholarship. They just say like a $3,000 scholarship.
Yeah, just a scholarship.
So, and I looked it up because I assumed it was for college.
Oh, yeah, I guess I just assumed so too. Like wherever the person ended up going, the school would
just
contribute.
the $3,000. So I looked it up. In 1992, a public school college was roughly $2,500 per year. So that would cover a full year and some books, I would say.
That would be great. Obviously, it's nowhere near that now, but that's pretty significant then.
That is.
Especially if you're poor.
Like Rachel.
Like Rachel.
Rachel is so poor.
Poor Rachel. In every way, poor Rachel.
So we see that Simone, as she's being nominated, and they're all like, I assume like on the basketball court, they're being nominated.
There's like a stage or something. I'm picturing my own like gym where we had our like pep rallies and things. There was a little stage area. So in my mind, they like ran up on stage or something.
Okay. Well, Simone looks out into the crowd and she sees her boyfriend Justin is talking to some random classmate, Meg Dalton.
Meg.
Oh, Meg.
So this whole moment in her life where she's getting nominated for prom queen, all she's thinking about is, why is my boyfriend speaking to another girl?
Right. We learn that Justin, talking to Meg, is the least of her problems because Simone is going to be missing in 2 days.
Yes.
And that's how the chapter ends.
That is how the first chapter ends. Not with her missing, but we're just informed that she will go missing.
That she will go missing in 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, also, I took issue with just the way that they described Simone as an actress.
How did they describe her?
She was the star of the drama club, and she looked the part. She was tall, dark, and dramatic looking. She was also very insecure, which I guess showed she was meant to be an actress.
I take issue.
I do too. Yes. I don't like that.
I was also a drama kid in high school.
Yeah.
I take issue.
Yeah. Whatever. The best actors are not like the insecure people who just need attention, but somehow Simone was the best actress and needed to be, apparently. But whatever.
RL, I'm going to need for you to get it together. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So, chapter 2. We learn that Simone is the lead in the school play.
Oh, I had a lot of notes there.
The Sound of Music, and its opening night. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right, good. Uh-huh. Its opening night is the night before prom.
The Friday night before prom.
Yeah. Is their opening night.
So when is their second night?
I don't know.
It's a one night only performance of The Sound of Music.
Were you in any high school musicals?
Musicals. I wasn't in my high school's productions. It was, well, I mean, maybe RL's description is more accurate because I didn't actually work with the high school drama club. Mm-hmm. I did theater with a community theater group. It sort of had a little bit of a religious basis, but they weren't too heavy on it. So the 2 musicals that I did with them in high school were The Cotton Patch Gospel.
Okay.
It's like the retelling of the life of Jesus, but if it were set in Gainesville, Florida. So that was fun.
All right.
And then we did My Fair Lady my senior year. So I was no role of significance in either one.
Okay. I did musicals in high school. My first one was Oliver when I was a freshman.
Oh.
Yeah, I played a little gang member.
I could see it.
And one of the orphans. I was double cast. So anyway.
Ooh.
I know. Our play ran for 2 consecutive weekends. It was Friday and Saturday night. Our theater held 400 people, which was all the kids in my high school. There was basically 100 kids per grade, so 400 kids were in my high school.
Yeah.
And it was you had to sell tickets. You were not just a one-night event and hope your parents could make it. It was 2 weekends.
I don't know of any, even today, if I did I've done full lengths, with friends where we could only have, one performance night. Mm-hmm. So it happens, but for a big production like this, like a high school or any sort of big organized, especially a musical, for one night.
Yeah.
But they kept saying opening night, so it doesn't sound like it was a one-night only event.
So was it Friday and Friday, next Friday?
A Sunday matinee after prom when everyone's feeling their best, I'm sure.
They're feeling real good about themselves.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so Simone is the lead in the play. And we also learned that her parents are very distant, and she doubts very much that they are going to come and see her in this play.
Yeah. They're very well off, and she's spoiled, so she's taken care of that way. But yeah, she feels that they're not actually interested in her life.
Yeah. So Rachel's concern on top of that is she's worried that Shadyside is going to cancel the prom, and then she won't win the $3,000, and she'll never go to college because she's poor.
And I think I wrote when she was, what if we can't go to prom because of that dead girl, Stacy? Next to it I wrote, try COVID.
Oh, they are decades away from COVID.
No, how would they deal? No.
So all 5 prom queens are at a diner.
By the way, as soon as they all came together and were we're all going to go out to celebrate, I keep thinking back, I don't remember, first of all, who all was nominated for my prom queen. But then the idea that they all would go hang out together after was like far-fetched
yeah,
for me.
yeah.
But smaller town. I also had 400 people in my high school, so it was just like, I don't think they all ran in the same groups, but whatever.
So they're all at this diner celebrating their nominees or their nomination, and this is where we finally meet Rachel's boyfriend, Gideon. Gideon Miller. And were your spidey senses going off at this point?
The only thing that I did write when he first enters, were you girls talking about me? Is what Gideon said. And Dawn says, no, actually, we were talking about the killer. So I just wrote in the notes, that's clever, RL, if it is Gideon.
That's what I thought too. So at this point, I had my theory mapped out. That Gideon was the killer.
As soon as he was introduced?
Okay. As soon as he was introduced, I was like, Gideon is the killer. He's doing it so Rachel will get prom queen so she can get the $3,000 and go to college because she's poor.
Okay. I guess I didn't really like have it that mapped out. I just thought like, at this point, it basically seemed like anyone was being set up to be the killer. So,
yeah. Yeah, I will say as we read through, there's a lot of like red herrings, but I'm one of those that I will throw out my criminology degree at any chance I get.
Yeah.
So this is my criminology degree coming into play, that this is what I think is happening. Yeah.
That makes sense then, why you've got a full-fledged theory right away.
I had my billboard with pictures and like my yarn string.
More string. So when we get into chapter 3, we're still at the diner. And Simone, I think we left chapter 2 with Simone freaking out and rushing outside.
Right.
So in chapter 3, we see that she has rushed outside because she saw boyfriend Justin, horror of horrors, talking to yet another attractive female classmate. This one is Vanessa Hartley. And I think this time, didn't he like have his arm around her or something?
Yeah, they were like very close together,
Yeah.
and Simone was just having a time with it.
So I don't think we hear that entire conversation. We just kind of see from the other girls still in the cafe, like their observations, and they're very like, oh, that's Simone about her chewing out.
Right, her boyfriend.
And this other girl.
Vanessa.
Yeah, that poor Vanessa.
Probably does have ill intentions with Justin.
Probably.
But also, let the boy talk to someone.
That too, like, ultimately, it should be on your partner's,
Exactly.
shoulders to draw
But
the
we have
boundaries, but whatever.
We have to remember we are dealing with 16 or 17-year-olds right now, and very territorial and...
Yeah, I get it. I say it's easy to say now, but yeah, at the time, it does seem like the end of the world and betrayal, but this is just it's very extreme.
Yes.
But apparently, everyone finds Justin pretty hot. And maybe Simone should be a little concerned.
That's true.
Because all of her friends end up just sitting there and talking about how, well, if he asked me out, I'd go.
Well, he did go out with who already?
It was Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel with boyfriend Gideon. Rachel's like, oh, he already did ask me out. And I said yes.
And Dawn went out with him already, too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wow, Simone, you might not be that paranoid. I think everyone really is out to steal your man here.
And they also talk about Lizzie and Elena are like, I would go out with him too if he asked me out. Hee hee.
Yeah, they all say yes. They either have already or would if he asked them.
Yeah.
Great friends.
Uh-huh.
So then later in the chapter, we see a rehearsal for this wonderful, maybe one night only production of The Sound of Music. And we meet Robbie Barron. He is the director.
I couldn't
Stage
figure out what
manager?
was he the director? Was he the stage manager, producer?
Was there an adult overseeing this production?
I couldn't figure it out. There was no mention of like, oh, hey, teacher, my drama teacher. It was just Robbie Barron.
It was Robbie Barron, and they mentioned at one point that they had a piano player, who he seemed very abusive towards, but I don't think they gave this piano player a name or specified if it was a student or an adult.
Okay.
It seemed like the entire production was being overseen by students themselves.
Yeah.
So not a great learning environment for how to do things correctly.
No, not at all. They're all going to like hate doing theater by the time they get to college, and they're never going to do it.
Oh yeah, there's going to be no structure. They're all going to think their voices like as important as everyone else's. But Robbie seems to have the attitude already of a director. Like he's very serious about his job for this high school production. And he is ordering people around, and he's very upset because Simone is late to rehearsal.
And we gather this is like a reoccurring thing, right?
She doesn't seem like because don't they say like sometimes she gets hung up like watching Justin's baseball practice or something?
Yeah.
Or no, Justin usually watches Simone during rehearsal, but he isn't there either.
Yeah, both Simone and Justin are missing from rehearsal.
Yeah. So then we move on to chapter 4. 2 days have gone by. I can't wait to get to the like investigation.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So 2 days have gone by, and Simone is just still missing.
She's just a whisper in the wind.
She's just gone. And at this point, I don't think anyone has been called.
Nope.
Yet.
Nope. And like I get that whole 48-hour thing, but when it's a minor,
yeah,
it's like a few hours,
so
right?
She's missed rehearsal. She's missed school. She hasn't come home. Maybe she had a point about her parents.
It's true.
So Lizzie, the only one with any
Like form of
still a little late, but whatever. She goes to Simone's house to check to see if she's shown up or whatever. And she gets into Simone's bedroom, and it is torn all apart. It is ransacked, and there is a huge pool of blood on the floor.
I think we're starting to see Simone's point that her parents pay no mind to her, because my parents like walked past my bedroom every single day when I was in high school and would peek in and...
Well, but also the school would have called.
Yeah,
like if I
that's
hadn't
true.
shown up for 2 days.
That is very true, yeah. I mean, well, unless it was like the weekend, we don't know what the days are.
That's true. That is true, I guess. But still, just her parents didn't notice at all. So then in chapter 5, we're still in the bedroom. Lizzie is freaking out because of what she's found. And she goes over and she looks out, and she looks out the bedroom window, and she sees a man running through Simone's backyard. And he has what she describes as a big gray sack in his arms. So, Santa Claus.
Well, she does describe it as a gray sack, but I picture it as like a human body wrapped up and like there's like duct tape.
Yeah. I guess I've pictured something like slung over the shoulder, and I'm like, but if there's any chance of it being a body, that's a really weird way to carry someone. But anyway, that's all we get. It's a man with a big sack.
With a big sack. That's it.
Fraser. So then the entire friend group is called over to the house.
To Simone's house.
Yes, to Simone's house.
Yeah.
And finally we get the police involved. So Simone's parents, her friend group, including boyfriend Justin, and I think it was 2 Shady Side
police
officers come to the house. And they start to interrogate.
They just interview everyone, and like everyone gives their alibi of like where they were.
Yeah.
But like they don't say where they were at what point. Like, was it when Lizzie saw a man running through the backyard? Was it over the past 2 days when Simone was missing?
And also, would they have them all in the same room?
No.
No, they would have split them up. They had no control over this scene, over these interviews.
No.
Nothing.
Not at all.
Absolutely nothing.
No, they should have been taken down to the station and interviewed one by one.
So none of them could like hear the other story and go along with it or whatever. One of the kids calls out. Robbie, the director of the play, he's also there. One of them, Elena, just in front of the police and Simone's parents is like, Robbie, didn't you get in a huge fight with Simone like the day before she disappeared? Mm-hmm. And Robbie's like, well, yeah, because she's late. And you were really aggressive with her, Robbie. The police don't chime in at all.
At all.
No.
Like, that is the only glimmer of a clue that they have for a suspect. And they're just like, okay, well, our work here is done.
Yeah. The only person who says anything after it, the only adult, is Simone's dad. And he says, let's keep going.
Let's keep this train going.
Yeah, let's move on from this for now. Like, anytime there was a scene involving like the authorities in any way, I was like, oh, I cannot wait to get into this with Michelle because this is bad. I love true crime, so even I know this is horrible.
Well, we also find out during their alibi announcements that Elena and Justin have been studying together, and they are each other's alibi.
So he did chat up Elena, and she did say yes, like she said she would.
Yeah, at least she's not a liar.
No, how does he have time to hang out with all these girls? Anyway.
Right. So as Lizzie is leaving Simone's house, she is approached from behind, and this person tells Lizzie, she doesn't know who it is, I killed her.
Oh, wasn't he running down the street?
Was he running down the street?
I heard footsteps behind me, pounding on the pavement, running toward me. Oh, so I guess he did start out behind her, and just a voice yelling, I killed her, I killed her.
So we find out in chapter 6, we meet new character, Lucas Brown.
Lucas Brown.
And he is described as the weird kid because he keeps a diary of the gruesome deaths that he hears about on TV. And when I read this, I was like, he's just a true crime podcaster before his time.
Yeah.
Like, that's all he is.
And his eyes are close together. Was his other thing that they keep saying... He might have been okay looking, but his eyes were too close together, which made him creepy. Like, okay. I think for a second I forgot about Kevin. So while Lizzie's describing how much she hates Lucas, in the notes I wrote, they'll be dating by the end of the book.
Oh, Lucas is gonna try.
He sure is. Wow. He's clearly the weirdo kid who has a fascination with like violence and killers and...
So he goes up to Lizzie and he's like, I'm just kidding. I didn't, Freudian slip.
I'm just killing.
So he goes up to Lizzie and he says, I'm just kidding. I didn't actually kill Simone. But he did date Simone a few years ago.
Right.
Loser Lucas with Little Miss Popularity.
Yeah. And so they speculate like that she might have just dated him for a while to get to Justin.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were on the baseball team together.
That's
so
right.
It was Simone's way of hanging around the baseball practices.
Okay. But if she's like all hot and Little Miss Thing, she wouldn't need Loser Lucas because she could just like show up.
That's
right?
what I thought. Like she's confident. She's described as like tall and like dark hair and like very like pretty forward about it. Why would she need to do this? You would think her reputation would take a hit by even pretending to date Lucas just to justify spending time at baseball practice
to get to Justin.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Lucas was like, this is a can't buy me love situation to where I'm going to hang out with this popular girl and then I by default will be popular.
Yes, I'll be accepted finally. Yeah.
So, like you said, we find out that Lucas plays for the Shadyside baseball team. His way with the ladies is described as he doesn't ask, he gives orders. And says things like, let's go back to my house and make out.
Pretty direct.
Yeah, pretty direct. So Lizzie tells him, leave me alone. He gets all angry and flustered, but finally he eventually leaves.
Yeah. So just intro of just another weird kid that's now hanging around.
Mm-hmm. So we have quite a few possibilities or suspects. As the reader, we have many suspects.
Yeah, but so it's when Lizzie is thinking about the connection between like Justin and Lucas both being on the baseball team that triggers her memory.
It does.
Am I jumping ahead?
Well, that leads us into chapter 7.
Okay.
So chapter 7 takes place 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks later, we are now 3 weeks away from prom. Lizzie, Dawn, and Rachel are shopping for prom dresses, even though they don't have dates yet. And Lizzie tells Dawn and Rachel that Lucas asked her to prom, which then triggers her memory that, oh, the guy that I saw had the Shady Side baseball jacket.
A maroon jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. There's like a 2-week jump, but then she tells us that's what I remembered that night 2 weeks ago or something. Yeah. Which I was going to ask you, it seems strange that seems like a detail that would get fuzzier as time goes on. Whereas when you just saw something, wouldn't you know, like, I just saw a maroon?
Yeah, I think too much time has passed and like false details will start to enter.
It seems weird that she didn't know that she saw something maroon immediately because they never mention that when she looks out the window. And it's only later when she's thinking about their baseball team that she's like, oh, right, that's their uniform. And I saw that color or that fabric or whatever.
And wouldn't Justin be wearing his baseball jacket during the police interview at Simone's house?
Well, even if he's not wearing it that day, even though Lizzie often like links the two of them as playing together,
Lucas is their main suspect right now because in the past 2 weeks, Simone is still missing. There have been no ransom calls. And Kevin. Kevin still doesn't know if he can make it to prom.
Poor Kevin.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll find out in his next letter.
Hopefully, because we only have 3 weeks to go.
The clock is ticking. All right, like
that might be something you call for. You maybe spend the 25 cents just to say, "Hey, I can come."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It only takes a minute, really. And then in the letters they can talk about like, what color is your dress? What corsage should I get? Are we taking a limo?
Yeah. They could.
All of those.
Although still only 3 weeks. We're getting down to it here for snail mail across the country.
2 weeks go by, we haven't heard from the ransom killer guy, but we found out there have been other murders as well. A girl from Waynesbridge who was dragged into Fear Street Woods, and then another girl from Durham. And that's all we really get about it. The girls don't believe that Lucas would kill the Waynesbridge and Durham girl, and even though it's still the same MO as Stacy, killed and then dragged into Fear Street Woods.
Yeah. So we have 3 dead girls, all from different schools, and Simone is missing now at this point.
Yeah. So after they go prom dress shopping, Lizzie, Rachel, and Dawn go see a movie, a Christian Slater movie.
A random Christian Slater movie.
Well, I was curious because...
Did you look it up?
I did look it up. And in 1992, Christian Slater was in a movie called Cuffs, where he poses as a cop to catch his brother's killer.
And that sounds like the one little... They give us like a snippet of dialogue straight from the movie, and that sounds like it could fit.
So I wonder if this was like product placement for Christian Slater. You know, was his like agency like, hey, let's get the little girls in here, put them in a Fear Street book.
Would R.L. Stine have had to? You don't have to get permission to just drop a celebrity's name in your book, do you?
No. But I did notice while reading it, there were some product placements, like they specifically talk about Coca-Cola, Coke, and Goobers at the movie theater. I think there was another like brand name that they talked about.
They did mention the Muppets at one point.
Yeah, but I think you are allowed to add
to just
that.
name drop.
Yeah, just name it.
Okay.
As long as you aren't saying anything bad about it.
Right.
So while they're at the movies, at the Christian Slater
Slater movie.
Very specifically Christian Slater movie.
Even Christian Slater on the big screen, though, could not stop Lizzie from thinking about these murders in her head, though.
Yeah. They are definitely in the forefront of her brain. So at the movie theater, they see that Justin is there with Suki Thomas. I kept calling her Suki Stackhouse.
Suki Stackhouse.
But that's a few decades away.
Oh, yeah. Justin and Suki are in front of Lizzie in line, and Justin has his arm around her. And she's being very flirty.
Yeah. Your girlfriend's been missing for 2 weeks, but here you are on a date.
Yeah.
With everybody. Like, your whole school is there.
Yeah.
All right, Justin. I got my eye on you.
I don't know what other people's high school relationships are like, but mine were... All of my relationships, they were pretty serious. Like, we didn't casually date. So, Kevin, my high school sweetheart, Kevin, if you're listening, I really like to think that if I had gone missing, you would still be, like, mostly thinking of me and trying to find me 2 weeks later.
Unless there was a Christian Slater movie.
Unless there was a Christian Slater movie that you had to go see.
And I'm assuming Suki Thomas is hot because all of the high school girls that Justin dates, they're hot.
Apparently.
Prom queen material.
He gets all the hot girls with his pale blue, icy eyes.
So we move on to chapter 8. And in chapter 8, Dawn gets up to go to the bathroom and is knocked out by some random guy.
Yeah, that just like ran past, they say.
Yeah.
But apparently it happened without anyone really noticing at the time, because Rachel gets up to also go to the restroom, and they say she found Dawn laying in like the back of the theater, like just on the ground.
On the ground. Like, where is the bathroom in this theater?
Where's the bathroom? And then, like, apparently she, dragged her out into the lobby? Because we have, like, the theater manager and, like, a concessions employee who are both more concerned about, like, the PR for the theater than with getting this girl help.
Yes. So after the movie... And after the trauma that Dawn just went through.
Yeah, did it say, like, she hit her head? Or...
Yeah, like, this random person just, like, barrels through her and she gets knocked out. She comes to, everything's fine.
Do they even call the...
I don't think so. I think she's just like, I'm okay. Maybe she got, like, a free icy out of it and, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, so probably has a concussion, but the Shady Side movie theater does not care.
No.
So Lizzie goes home... And she has a letter from Kevin. It's not good.
No.
Kevin is still on the fence about prom. However, he might not be able to make it because his mom was in a car accident. And that's it.
Right.
That's it. A first class stamp, I think, can hold up to like how many ounces of paper before you got to put 2 stamps on it?
2 stamps?
Yeah. So, Kevin, I'm going to need some detail.
Yeah.
All right. You have at least 5 pages worth of information that you can give me.
I used to write my cousin back and forth. Like, we would write pages and pages of letters. Yeah. We stuffed those envelopes full. We tested the stretch of that single stamp, and I think we were always fine. So I'm further compromised about possibly coming for prom because my mom's in a car accident. Like, if it's that bad, like...
Call.
I wrote... So in his letter, his mom was in a minor accident. He'd made a lot of new friends. And then in parentheses, Lizzie says, that didn't make me happy.
Right. Like, do you not want Kevin to be happy?
Yeah.
Lizzie?
Like, apparently you're just not allowed to have friends if you're in a relationship at all. Like,
not in Shady Side, Ohio.
These people are all horrible.
So after she gets the probably bad news that Kevin isn't going to make it to prom, Lizzie gets a phone call from Rachel, who is in a panic.
Oh, yeah. She's like hyperventilating, can't get out details, and just says, like, come over.
Come over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm putting myself in Lizzie's shoes. I mean, I'm worried about my friend.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so much to where I'm going to take my parents' car without permission when it's raining outside, like a monsoon raining.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a horrible storm.
Yeah, horrible storm, and I'm just going to fly right over there, and that takes us into chapter 9.
Yeah. Chapter 9 is a very short chapter. Basically, the extent of it is, Lizzie gets in her parents' car, flies out of the house without asking them before they can even notice. She's driving through a storm. She's driving past the Fear Street Cemetery.
And Rachel lives on Fear Street.
Right. Rachel, remember, poor Rachel lives on Fear Street.
The poorest street in Shady Side. Okay.
So there's a storm. She's heading toward this scary area where, of course, there's a cemetery. And as she's driving through the storm, she sees a shadow dart into the road. And she tries to stop, but it's not in time. And the car, there's a huge jolt. And Lizzie realizes that she has run over someone.
Someone.
It literally says someone.
Someone. All right. What does chapter 10 tell us?
Lizzie killed a raccoon. This someone that darted in front of her car, where she was scared it was a person, was the largest raccoon you've ever seen. No, I don't know. It just says a raccoon.
It just says a raccoon.
But there's a very graphic description of its innards being out on
And so far, up until this point, the most emotionally attached I have been to any character in this story has been the raccoon.
It's the raccoon. And that's not because we're both animal lovers, which we are.
We are, yeah.
But I've had no chance or reason to have an emotional attachment to anyone else so far.
They are all awful teenagers.
Among all the passing thoughts that teenagers have, at least a few of mine and my friends were like, maybe we should care about things sometimes. Oh, God. So, yeah, Lizzie killed a raccoon.
Yeah, so the raccoon that went crunch brings us to chapter 11.
Yeah, we do get to Rachel's house. Who her parents are there. Lizzie surprises them. They don't seem to be expecting anyone or to know anything's going on. No. So they tell Lizzie that Rachel's upstairs. She rushes up, and Rachel informs Lizzie that she's not okay because Gideon has broken up with her to be with Elena.
Because they got a little cozy while studying social
studies?
I mean, if social studies can bring two hearts together, I think any subject can.
Especially in the 90s where it wasn't quite as, like, infuriating as
it might be now. But that's also what I noticed. Like, when I was in 6th grade, I took social studies. By the time I got to high school, we were calling it American history, world history.
Yeah.
Something history.
I liked social studies better, personally. Yeah, so Lizzie's upset, like, I thought you were being attacked and the line went dead. And, of course, it was just the storm. It was horrible timing from the storm.
Maybe the raccoon was, like, gnawing on the phone line.
If you're implying that raccoon deserved to die, then I am going to heartily disagree with you.
I am doing no such thing. I am just trying to give the raccoon
a bigger
purpose. Yes.
That would be, yeah. Because then he also caused his own death.
That's true. I just don't want him to, like, die in vain for nothing.
I like that then.
Okay.
I like it. He had more to do with this story than... so Lizzie gets Rachel to calm down. She's still not being a very good friend, like... But then I don't know how much these relationships seem to mean to any of these people anyway, so whatever. Oh, Lizzie kindly offers, since it's not looking like good old Kevin is going to make it from Alabama, she offers to be Rachel's date to prom.
Yes.
So that's nice. Apparently at their school,
they're allowed.
2 friends of the same gender can go together.
Can do that.
So
That's
good. Good for them. Good for Shady Side, Ohio.
When I was reading that, I was like, oh, when they make the TV show, they are totally going to have, like, a lesbian or gender queer couple. Like, they have to. And good for you, RL, for setting it up.
Teeing that one up for us. 30...
Yeah, 30 years.
3 years later.
Yeah, 33 years later. Way to be progressive, RL.
Yeah.
But it's also like, oh, the only reason why I'm going to go with you is because you don't have a boyfriend and mine is stuck in Alabama.
Yeah.
So now they're just using each other.
Kind of, yeah.
It's fine.
These friendships will last. So Lizzie, she heads home, back through the storm, supposedly not killing anything else on the way. And her dad is waiting up for her, which is the nightmare of all teenagers who have stuck out.
When, like, you pull up and you see, like, the dining room light on. Yeah, and you're like, I know that light was off when I left.
Like, oh no, they're up. So she walks in and her dad informs her that they have caught the killer.
Shady Side is safe again.
Hopefully, yeah. So chapter 12, the killer, just some dude, some crazy dude.
Some random state prisoner.
That's it. Yes, a state prisoner. And they don't give an actual description much of how he looks other than he's got a creepy smile. Like he's just smiling for the cameras as he's being taken into custody.
Way to paint the picture, RL.
Yeah. And it sounds like he's basically confessing, like copping to the murders, but he will not tell them or say anything about where Simone is.
Right. So we don't know if he's like holding out that information for like a plea deal.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
He's just being really, really weird, but he isn't talking about Simone at all.
That shady side prisoner is being shady.
What were they expecting?
I know.
Naming their town this. So they're watching this guy, like they're watching the news clip, and then all of a sudden the shady side PD, those brilliant interrogation tactics of theirs, they arrive at Lizzie's house and they inform her that Rachel is now dead. On the same night. Where Lizzie was just at her house.
Yes.
And Lizzie was the last person to see her.
And that's the point that they were trying to drive home. You were the last person to see her.
Right.
And also, we caught the state prisoner. How could both be true at the same time?
Right, of course, yeah. So clearly here the point is, at least whoever killed Rachel could not be this person that they have arrested for those 3 other murders.
Right.
So we've got 2 separate killers.
This is the start of chapter 13. We find out that Rachel was stabbed to death in her bedroom while her parents went out for ice cream.
That same night, though, Lizzie was there in a storm.
In a storm.
It's already dark and late.
Yeah. There's raccoon guts all over the place.
They live on Fear Street.
They do. Yeah.
Does Fear Street have an ice cream parlor on it?
I don't know. But I think their whole reasoning for going to get ice cream is because they were trying to cheer up Rachel since she was dumped by Gideon. And she was like, no, I don't want to go. And they were like, cool, we're still going without you.
Well, yeah, we'll just leave you alone. Maybe, did it say, I don't remember if they specifically said this, but maybe they had seen on the news that the guy was killed. So maybe they were feeling
It's possible.
better, especially since they live right there.
Yeah.
To me, that would justify them like leaving their teenage daughter at home alone.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't know that it specifically says that, in which case it's a pretty awful move on their part.
On their part. I have questions about all the shady side parents.
The parents, the kids, the cops, all of them.
All of them. Something shady in shady side. So the state prisoner has confessed to all the murders except for Rachel's and won't say where Simone is. It's now 1 week until prom, and Dawn is scared because she thinks the killer is after the prom queen nominees.
Yeah. Although she never says the nominees, she just keeps saying, they're after killing the prom queens. Like,
right.
Okay.
Okay, so all 5 of you are
Yeah.
prom queens. So with Rachel dead, there goes my theory
Yeah.
that Gideon was going to kill everybody for Rachel.
Yeah. So that she could have the $3,000.
They're like, my criminology degree is just worthless now.
Ugh.
I know.
Yeah, so they're at play rehearsal now, and they're like discussing how it seems to be the prom queens. And now I think we find out that Dawn is replacing Simone
That's
as
right.
Maria in The Sound of
In
Music.
The Sound of Music. Is that the lead? I've never seen The Sound of Music.
Yeah, that would be the Julie Andrews role. Yeah.
But Robbie is also gaslighting everybody about being in danger because he doesn't want it to affect the school musical.
Right, yeah.
Which is very Scream 2, if you remember that. So, yeah, Sydney is in the college play and Ghostface is running amok. And the director, Sydney's like, I need to leave. All my friends are dying and I'm being stalked. And the director's like, please don't go. We've worked so hard on this play. And that's why Scream 2 is my second to last Scream movie. I'm like, this is just stupid. But I
did
digress.
get Timothy Olyphant, though.
That is true.
Yep.
Yeah, I do like him as Ghost.
I do too. That was good. Oh man, yeah. This Robbie is only concerned about this play and like downplaying everyone else's concerns
Right.
about being out late at night. Whatever.
It's fine.
The show must go on for Robbie.
So in chapter 15, we have Lizzie is driving home, and she sees that Lucas is hiding in her back seat.
Oh, yeah, she leaves rehearsal, and he's just in her car.
In her back seat, and he gives the reason. His bright idea was to hide in her back seat to scare her, so she would take the time to get to know him and realize he's actually a good guy, and then she would want to go to prom with him. We need to unpack this.
This is all handled way too casually. Like, even Lizzie, like, it keeps saying she's so freaked out, but then she just drives him back to school and, like, yells at him to get out of her car until he does, and then just drives home thinking, what a creep.
In what world do you think that scaring someone is going to convince them that you're a good guy and they would want to spend a romantic evening with you?
Yeah, so at this point, I'm still pretty certain that the killer is not going to turn out to be Lucas because it just seems like that neon sign is just way too big.
Yeah.
However, we now have a legitimate teenage psychopath.
We do.
Like, no matter who ends up being the killer of the prom queens, Lucas is that kid who's going to be a stalker, murderer problem.
By the time he gets to college, he's going to have some charges against him.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's scarier to me now than whoever is doing these killings. Like, that was in this entire book about teenage girls getting murdered. That was the scariest part of the entire book, was Lucas in her car.
Yeah. Just thinking like, this is cool. This is how you get the girl. I'm a good guy.
If you just push hard enough and don't back down and keep escalating your behavior, it has to work at some point.
Sooner or later, she's going to give in.
And it's honestly like, that was the most realistic part of the plot point, because those people exist.
That's very true. So like you said, Lizzie drops him back off at school. He gets upset, but Lizzie tells him to go away
But doesn't, like, report it.
No.
She's just rolling her eyes at
Well,
him.
you know, because boys will be boys. Yeah. So in chapter 16, this is when she tells him, get out of my car, leave me alone. And his response is, you're cute when you're angry. Yeah, all right. So he leaves, and Lizzie goes home. Here's another one. Lizzie goes home to
I forgot
find
that this happened right away.
Justin is sitting at her kitchen table eating her mom's carrot cake.
Carrot cake, yeah.
He's in her house by himself because when he stopped by, her parents were leaving to go pick up Aunt Rena from the airport. Yeah.
Aunt Rena's planned trip.
That is just now mentioned in, chapter 16.
So they let him just stay and hang out there?
Yeah.
So in the beginning of the book, we were told over and over and over how protective Lizzie's parents were being over her and, like, limiting, like, using the car or going out at night, and how, like, rehearsal was the only thing she was allowed to do.
Oh, because of the killer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there are all these moments in the book where it's like,
Are you really?
let's just let this teenage boy, who is the partner, the boyfriend of the first girl from their school that went missing, let's just let him wait alone for our daughter to come home.
Yeah.
She can deal with him when she gets
Everything's
here.
fine. And it's like, no one has a cell phone. They do have a security alarm, so I'll give them that.
They do.
But that's not going to help anything.
No, it's
ADT
not set.
isn't going to come and help her.
I don't even think it's, like, set at the time.
No. So no cell phones, there's no Ring cameras, there's nothing.
And he ate the cake.
He ate the cake. I hope he got permission to eat the cake.
I hope she offered it to him, because otherwise he is also a little sociopath.
Maybe the mom did, and she was like, oh, while you wait, have some of my world famous carrot cake.
So that my husband won't eat it, because apparently he's getting a bit of a gut. They say that in the book. They hide the sweets from him because he's getting a little round.
Because Mr. McVeigh cannot control himself around the sweets. So we find out the actual reason why Justin is there is because he wants to know what she told the police. And please don't tell anyone that I was
At a movie
with
Suki.
Suki, even though it was a public area, and half the school was there to see the Christian Slater movie.
If it's a small enough school where all the nominees for Prom Queen go hang out together, it's small enough that they were not the only ones from the school or just that would know him at a movie theater.
Yes.
But yeah, so he's being all creepy and insisting she like not tell because she doesn't want, or he doesn't want it getting out that he was with this other girl.
Because it'll look bad that he's dating other girls while his girlfriend is missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's also not making any attempt to like slow that down or actually be concerned.
You know, or having a search party, making flyers.
Yeah, nothing.
Like, you need something here, Justin. So then Justin starts to put the moves on Lizzie, and she rejects his advances, and then he leaves. And then, this is a cool part at the end of chapter 16, when Lizzie has her dream.
It's like it's at the prom, and they're about to announce the winner, the prom queen winner.
Yeah.
And they're all standing with their backs to the audience, to the school. And they turn around? Is it one by one? Or like they all turn around and their faces are
just like skulls.
Skulls.
Like
and
the cover of the book.
Yeah, yeah. I think at that point I actually looked at the cover of the book like, oh, yeah.
Like, oh, all right.
That's good. Yeah, with like bones sticking out. And
Yeah, so I hope they have something similar to that in the show.
the dream sequence in the show, that would be cool.
So we're at chapter 17, and now that Rachel is dead, Lizzie has to go to prom with cousin Seth.
Oh, right. Yeah, she lost her backup prom date, too.
Because we still don't know if Kevin's going to make it.
Right, of course. Cousin Seth. I forgot about Cousin Seth.
Cousin Seth. It's less than a week away before prom. Kevin still hasn't confirmed. And now I'm really taking issue.
Plane ticket?
Right. If he does make it, is he going to drive? That's a 10-hour drive.
Oh.
From Alabama to, assuming Columbus, Ohio, Shady Side, Ohio. So that's a 10-hour drive. Are mom and dad coming? Does Kevin have a license? Like, I have questions.
Is he going to stay with them?
Yeah. Is he getting a hotel? Did he rent his tux?
Yeah. A last-minute plane ticket probably is going to cost more than it would have before.
Right.
You're really cutting it close here.
My plane ticket, I mean, granted, it's 2025, but it was like $700
for round trip.
So it's going to cost you. So the remaining nominees that are alive, Dawn, Elena, and Lizzie, they talk about wanting to drop out of the prom queen contest, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But they vow not to because Simone and Rachel wouldn't want them to.
Right. I love when that's used as an excuse in things where it's like, clearly this is what you want to do, but it's like, oh no, the person we're honoring,
right?
Like they would want us to go forward with it.
Yes.
Like, would they?
Their altruism is just astounding. Elena feels guilty for breaking up Rachel and Gideon, and we learned that Gideon is also poor, and he could have used the $3,000 as well.
So he might want to be prom queen.
He might want to be prom queen. Oh, this is too progressive for 1992. Yeah.
Well, maybe, don't they say like maybe he killed Rachel and he was getting with Elena because he thought she'd have a better chance of winning?
And that she would split the money with him.
Because Rachel flat out said, like, I'm not going to share it with you. Like back in the cafeteria when he joked about it,
right.
She said something like, you're not getting a penny of this if I win it.
So when they said that, Gideon is poor and he would want half of it and Elena would give it to him, I was like, my theory is back on the table.
It's not completely off yet.
So for chapter 18, during rehearsal, and because, they still have to perform The Sound of Music.
Of course.
Opening night on Friday.
The night before prom.
The night before prom. Maybe the only time that they're doing it. We're not sure. So it's during rehearsal. And Lizzie finds Elena's lifeless body on stage.
On the stage.
But a clue was left with Elena.
She has a piece of maroon satin fabric in her hand. Was this after rehearsal?
I thought it was during rehearsal.
Oh, was it?
Maybe after, during.
Yeah.
It's all a blur.
And there's still no adults here.
No.
No faculty member who's overseeing this production.
And we know that the Shady Side baseball jacket has that maroon satin fabric. So Lizzie is again interviewed by Shady Side PD. And this is when she decides, you know what? I'm going to drop out of the prom queen race. But before she does, she gets a phone call.
I thought the whole chapter was going to go on like this, but the chapter begins, it's just a dialogue back and forth between Lizzie and this person on the phone who ends up being Justin. So, and he's very nervous, and he is insisting on coming over to Lizzie's house, even though at this point, I think they say it's close to midnight. It's late at night. Her parents are asleep, so they've already gone to bed, and Justin is insisting on coming over. So I guess she ends up saying yes, and
Goes downstairs to disarm.
she disables the alarm. Oh, yeah, she says there's an alarm, and Justin's like, well, you'll have to turn it off, basically.
Like, okay.
So she does. And then so Justin gets there, and he's being all weird and acting like really creepy.
Yeah.
So he's asking again about the police and what she told him, and she's just sort of deflecting. And I mean, this is the same night that her friend just was murdered.
Yeah.
So Justin's just being creepy, and he picked up her dad's letter opener and
That's
is like
right.
slowly coming towards her.
Yeah.
And then to save the day, her dad comes downstairs.
Finally, he gets to protect her in the way that he says that he will always protect his little girl.
He comes downstairs when the guy that they previously left alone in their house. So her dad saves the day, and Justin ends up leaving. And then presumably they all go back to bed.
Yeah.
And then we're just on to the next.
On to the next day. It's dress rehearsal for The Sound of Music, and it goes terribly.
Oh, horribly.
I mean, props are falling, sandbags are falling. It's just, not a day.
Yeah, and we previously had seen that apparently Lizzie's not good at her job as the set and prop master.
Right.
She's in charge of sets, is what they say. She had like dropped the wrong set piece, and it flew down and almost hit
Somebody.
Yeah, it was either Dawn or Simone. I forget at what point.
Okay.
But still, everything's going wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're all a nervous wreck.
Of course they are. Like, I wouldn't be focused on this either.
No.
And the lead has been replaced.
That's true. The lead has been replaced with like only a week's notice.
You have no adult supervision telling you what to do. But they do get this right. There is a saying that terrible dress rehearsal, great opening night.
That is true.
So by that standard, their opening / only performance is going to be great.
Friends are dropping dead left and right, but as we know, the show must go on.
Okay, so the day after Justin is creeping Lizzie out and brandishing a letter opener, Lizzie finds out that the whole school knows about it because someone saw his car.
Yeah.
So now it's all, Justin and Lizzie are
sitting in a tree.
Yeah, apparently she's
Because
one of them too.
What high schooler is driving around at midnight and is just like, oh, I'm just going to drive past my friend's house, and lo and behold, there's Justin's car.
Yeah, I'm going to go tell everyone about it, apparently. Yeah. So now Dawn is telling Lizzie, oh yeah, everyone's suspicious of this. But then Lizzie feels better because she gets home from school that day, and there is a letter from Kevin. He can come to the prom. His dad gave in.
How many days is it
She's
until
got a
prom?
date. It's less than a week.
Okay,
Because
it's like 3 days until prom.
Yeah, she says, oh, the prom, this Saturday night. Okay. We're doing another rehearsal now, or like they're cleaning up after rehearsal for the show. And now Lizzie and Dawn go up to the
prop room.
Yeah, to the prop room. And they're just talking about like the show and how it's going.
And as they're talking, they see like this cubby hole door thing.
It's like an extra closet up in like the rafters, like in where they keep all the set pieces and props.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like slightly ajar. They pay no mind to it.
Yeah. Lizzie was like, earlier in the book, she was making a point of like, oh, usually I keep it closed, but like apparently someone else had gone in there. So now it's like, whatever.
Cares?
It's willy-nilly. Everyone goes up there.
Yeah. Not my problem. I'm only the prop and set master. But, I don't get paid enough for this sort of mentality.
So Dawn gets called away by Robbie Lizzie is up there by herself, but then a voice comes up behind her. And who is it? Justin. So he's once again trapped her in a small space, being creepy as hell. None of these people have any like concept of how their actions are coming off at all, apparently. And now he finally tells her what he had wanted to say at her house the previous night.
He wanted to ask her to the prom.
To go to the prom with him.
Because there's only 2 prom queen nominees left. And maybe, just maybe one of them's going to work out.
So he asks her, and she can honestly say now that she has a date because Kevin pulled through for her anyway.
Right.
It seems like Justin is genuinely like, oh, okay, cool. And like, that's it.
And that's it.
The end of Justin being creepy.
Yeah.
So Dawn comes back and Lizzie tells her what just happened. And oh, yeah. So they finish up and they split up to tidy up whatever for the night so they can go home. And that's when Dawn on the stage.
Dawn and Lizzie get separated for some reason. And then Lizzie hears Dawn scream. So Lizzie follows the scream. And she sees that Dawn is struggling with the killer who is wearing the Shady Side baseball jacket. Lizzie goes to like save the day, but she ends up falling flat on her face.
Right.
And as she's coming to, she sees the killer stab Dawn in the chest, and Dawn is dead.
Yeah.
Poor Dawn.
Of course, she tripped over a rope.
Yeah.
For like one of the flies, presumably. But they do specifically say like she saw Dawn struggling with a man. A man in the baseball jacket.
Yes.
So yeah, Lizzie trips and is not able to stop this stabbing. So then the man, he sees Lizzie and comes towards her.
Yeah.
And steps into the light. And she's finally able to see who this man is.
Yep. Carol Ann walked into the light, and we see that this man is none other than
Simone. Not a man at all. Now Lizzie finds out it is their presumed missing friend who has been killing these girls.
Yes. She's been hiding in the prop room these past 5 weeks.
She's been living in that tiny closet.
And then going to the cafeteria after school and like
stealing enough food.
And just squirreling away. I don't know, oranges. What? The little 8-ounce carton of chocolate milk.
Yeah, maybe some like a fruit cocktail in syrup or whatever.
Oh, probably
cold pizza.
One of those big jars of like peanut butter.
The jumbo ones. That'll last you a while. But no one noticed it was missing. No one heard or saw her going up and down into this tiny room.
I assume she's like well, they probably have a shower room there.
Probably.
So she's taking a shower. Yeah. You know, got to keep that hygiene up.
Yeah. So Lizzie kind of initially assumes like that it's all to be prom queen, that she's going to kill the other 4 and then like make a miraculous recovery or like reappearance.
Talk about a comeback.
Yeah.
You would get prom queen for that.
By default. But Simone reveals
that her actual motive is she was killing anyone who went out with Justin. And it just was coincidence that all the girls she killed were nominated for prom queen. It had nothing to do with it. It was all because of Justin and because Simone's parents don't care about her.
Yes, because her parents, didn't pay enough attention to her. And Justin paid too much attention to everyone else.
Yes.
Suki somehow got away.
Yeah.
With not being murdered.
I will say in Suki's defense, she went out with him after, or showed interest in him after Simone was gone. So I would give her a pass. Like if I was little psycho Simone, I would give Suki a pass.
But did Lizzie? Like Lizzie didn't, so the only time she ever saw or thought Justin was doing anything with her was because his car was at her house.
Yes.
And because
he asked her to prom.
And I think they say Simone heard it because she was up in that little cubby thing. But then wouldn't she have heard Lizzie say no?
Well, Lizzie did say when they were at the diner celebrating their nominations that she too would date Justin if he asked her out. So maybe that's where it came from?
I don't know.
But anyway, it has nothing to do with the crown, nothing to do with the
Not
scholarship.
the money, nothing.
It's all Justin.
All about Justin and these stupid girls who are audacious enough to talk to him.
So now that we have the motive and we know who the killer is, Lizzie and Simone get into a little scuffle.
Yeah.
Little wrestling match
Yeah.
over the knife. But guess what? Dawn is alive.
Dawn is alive.
Dawn is alive. And just when you think that Simone has the upper hand on Lizzie, Dawn comes over and stabs Simone and saves the day.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because
There was also a thing where Lizzie released one of the sandbags that was holding up a set piece, and it fell on Simone's foot and managed to crack it into a weird angle, even though she was standing.
this whole scene is very Scream 2 vibes.
Yes.
Because this is how Scream 2 ends.
All the ropes and the rafters of a stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we find out that Dawn merely has a flesh wound from being stabbed in the chest, and she's going to be okay in time for prom.
She's going to be fine because she had put on Lizzie's leather jacket because she wanted to try it on, and that jacket protected her.
I love leather jackets.
I know. Yes, you do.
I love my leather jackets.
Now I know why, because apparently
Subconsciously, this has stuck with me for 33 years.
this will protect me from stab wounds to the chest.
By my high school rivalry, because I looked at her boyfriend.
They don't say it stopped the knife. They don't really say how
No,
she was still stabbed
she was stabbed.
in the chest, but she's okay.
When you have leather jacket on top of breastplate, I think you're going to be all right. Though you need that combination.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And Dawn, as they're wheeling her away, presumably, she might be walking. She just says, "See you at prom," in 3 days.
In 3 days. So it's chapter 24, and it's the night we've been waiting for. Not opening night of The Sound of Music.
Oh no, but that might have still happened.
Might have.
No, from the way things go in this book, they might have, with Dawn in the lead role, they might have gone ahead with opening night.
With her little bandage.
I am kind of upset now that we didn't get a confirmation that the show went on.
The show went on. We need to know.
Poor Robbie.
So it's prom night. Kevin is there.
Of course.
Of course. Dawn is there too. And what has the prom committee done to honor all 5 nominees? They made a bulletin board in honor of Rachel and Elena. And they decided we are going to scrap the Prom Queen scholarship.
Right.
And instead we are donating the money to create a college scholarship in Rachel and Elena's name. Still $3,000.
It's still $3,000. It's still a college scholarship.
I think for anyone.
It's in Rachel and Elena's names.
Yeah.
But they don't really say how it will be
Distributed.
awarded.
No.
Yeah.
No
But
idea.
it's no longer anything to do with the prom.
Right. And Kevin thinks that's great. That's the only mention of it. Kevin is the one who tells us about what's happening with the prom money. How he got that information, I don't know.
He's just that's very nice. All this stuff that you've been going through that I didn't know anything about, that's sweet.
Yeah. And that's it. That's the story. Kevin and Lizzie dance the night away. We know nothing of Simone, nothing of her funeral. We don't know how her parents feel.
Nope.
We don't know what happened with The Sound of Music. We know nothing.
Nothing.
We have nothing.
Just that Dawn and Lizzie were both there. And they danced.
And they danced. How does Justin feel being the reason that how many people were murdered? 3?
Well, now, yeah.
Well, Dawn lived.
Dawn did live.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those other 3 really they had nothing to do with
Yeah,
this.
they were the state prisoner.
So it was 3.
Okay. Yeah, so...
Well, 3 attempts.
3 attempts.
2
Well, 4
successful.
attempts because...
Lizzie.
Because, yeah, Lizzie... So 2 attempts, 2 successes. We don't know how Justin feels about it. Is he considered damaged goods now at Shadyside?
Was he at prom? I don't think they say whether or
No.
not he was there.
They
Who
don't
knows?
say. He definitely didn't take Simone.
Oh, good. We can go back to our original plan, babe.
Mm-hmm. And then, was Suki there? Meg Dalton? All of these like random names. Was Aunt Rena there?
We don't know when her return flight home was.
No, we don't. So like all these random names that were just strewn about.
Who did Gideon go with?
Yeah, that's true.
Rachel and Elena were dead.
Yeah. Oh. Maybe Gideon and Justin went together as friends. Was Lucas there?
Yes, Lucas was there.
Lucas was there?
I spotted Lucas dancing with Sherry Paulson. Perfect. She was as weird as he was.
Oh, great. Two weirdos together. Who knows what crimes they're going to commit once they get to college.
That, or she's weird, but in like a sweet way.
True.
And he's still just a psycho.
I'm worried about Sherry.
They're way too casual with Lucas after what we saw of him.
Yeah.
Like, he's still scarier to me than Simone is.
Maybe Lizzie should go to the Shady Side PD and be like, instead of looking at Justin, why don't you go look at Lucas?
She should have. Like, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. This is the only one that actually, like, kind of pisses me off. Like, R.L. Stine wrote a pretty, like, perfect budding stalker and woman killer here. And no one seems to care.
Lucas is a great villain because he's a true villain. Like, he could actually happen.
Yeah.
Is there someone running around killing her boyfriend's potential mistresses? Yeah, I'm sure. But Lucas is, like, scary.
Yeah. But he got to go to prom.
He got to go to prom. Good for him.
And that's it.
And that, end of story. So, what does little 7-year-old 1992 Kristen rate this book?
So I didn't read this when I was 7. I was probably still reading Goosebumps at the time. And I still, to this day, like most Goosebumps books better than I like this book.
Okay.
So I'm completely seriously, I still think 7-year-old me would put this at, like, at best, a 5 or 6.
Okay.
At best.
5 or 6 out
Yeah.
of 10?
Yes,
Okay.
out of 10.
Okay.
Yes.
What does adult Kristen rate this book?
Can I just say 1?
Yes, you can. Yes, you
The highest would be a 2.
Yeah. So, 1992, 12-year-old Michelle would have given this a B minus. Because
Did you read this when
Yeah.
you were that age?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was that age,
So you
yeah.
actually know. Okay.
what I rated it? Yeah.
Okay.
Because in some of the Fear Street books that I had, I actually like wrote down like what I thought of it. Adult Michelle, I give it a C minus.
Okay.
Only for nostalgia reasons.
That's fair.
If you take the nostalgia out of it, I'm like a solid D.
Okay.
Just because Lucas brings it home for me.
Yeah. I didn't have the nostalgia. This I remember reading this, but again, like, it came later, and I still think, like, so Goosebumps were meant for younger readers.
Yeah, they were.
So this is like the high school. I enjoyed reading Goosebumps more than I ever enjoyed reading any of the Fear Street books.
Okay. What did you like about this book, either as a 7-year-old or a adult?
I like that it is fast-paced. For books like this, I enjoy when, like, some chapters are shorter because they don't all have to be, like, really, really long chapters. It's easy to read. It's not too serious. You don't get
Right.
too in-depth. It is a good intro into
Young
the
adult.
genre.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So those are the things I will give it.
Okay. What didn't you like about it?
Well, sort of like we found out going through it just now, it's hard to remember what sequence of events things happen in because there's not a whole lot of connective tissue. It is sort of like, and then I went to school and there was a jump scare there. And then I went home and there was a jump scare there. I know for like this age group for writing, you don't always get into a lot of the details or the analysis of the characters and what they're thinking or feeling, but it was almost a little too vapid for me.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy all of the red herrings because it just felt like at some point it could be anyone, and I would be equally not surprised if it were any of them, basically. I don't like that there were some purposeful, like the misgendering of the person, like specifically saying she saw a man, and also just it's too many sociopaths in one school, it seems like. I don't know.
What I didn't like about it as an adult is it does not pass the Bechdel test. They go from talking about a murder, which is like really serious, to, oh, hey, let's talk about prom and who our dates are going to be.
Right.
The whole motive is centered around a boyfriend.
Even when they're dress shopping, I think they keep talking about like what they'll look hot in, implying like it's for the male gaze, basically.
They're seniors. They aren't talking about college or anything. We know nothing about why Lizzie and Kevin are in a relationship. Like, what are their common goals? What do they like about one another? There's a lot of, not fat shaming so much, but there is one part where Lizzie was talking about how she didn't want to eat goobers at the movie theater because she wouldn't be able to fit into her prom dress. If you ate a handful of goobers, you're not going to fit into a prom dress? Like, no. RL, knock it off.
Even in the first scene where they're like getting ready after gym class, it was so, you can tell it was just, it's such a male perspective, because even the girls, they're described as like, oh, I slid on my silky white blouse after gym class, or like just some of the other language.
Yeah, it's a very cookie cutter, young adult horror novel that is great for nostalgia.
Yeah.
And that's why I read them.
But yes, for pure nostalgia, for an easy read, I can add another book to my like number of books read for this year. I might even read a couple more of the Fear Street books, because now I'm just curious.
We'll come back on and we'll talk about it.
I will, yeah, because I think I've read this one before, but I know this wasn't one of my standouts, and I would probably have to go through and look at the series and the covers to remember which ones I really liked. But
The Prom Queen is also a Netflix movie, and it's coming out on May 23rd, Friday, May 23rd. Hopefully not the same night as the opening night of The Sound of Music.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
That'd be a conflict. That would.
So we watched the trailer, and we're going to talk about the trailer to see, does it match up to the book?
If we can recognize like what scenes are happening.
Yeah. So we watched the official 2-minute and 20-second trailer from Netflix.
So first of all, a lot of it takes place at prom, apparently, which in the book,
none of it.
All of the events were done by prom night. We got like one page at the end, and everything was better by then.
Yeah.
So a lot is happening on one night.
And it's taking place in 1988.
In 88.
Which I guess the book doesn't specifically say
what year
it is, but we just assume, since it came out in 1992, that that's when it is.
And I mean, among many other thoughts, they're setting it up like, because at some point they show like a display case from 78. So it sounds like maybe something has been happening to the prom queens over the years. So like there has been an issue with this in the past.
And maybe it's like every 10 years something is happening. So there's
maybe
like a mystery.
Or maybe every prom queen, like, or maybe, I don't know. But there's something like carrying over, like this isn't the first time. And in the beginning, one of the teachers says to one of the girls, like, this is the new shady side.
Right.
Also, I noticed it's really hard to determine from the trailer which character lines up with the book characters.
But they didn't use the name Lizzie, Dawn,
I didn't hear
Rachel.
any of the same names.
We heard Megan Rogers.
Megan.
And there was a Megan in the book, but that was Megan Dalton.
And she was just mentioned in passing.
Yeah, just a random girl that Justin was talking to.
Yeah. It did show what I'm assuming was supposed to be one of the popular boys, and he is a person of color, so that's good.
That's good.
I'm happy to see some diversity.
Yeah. Yeah. And In this one, it looks like they're actively trying to win Prom Queen.
Yeah, like they're actually battling it out.
Yeah. And it seemed like there was some sort of like Miss America bathing suit competition.
Yeah, like all the nominees put together a dance to do.
Yeah.
Which I actually remember. I remember having like a Sadie Hawkins dance.
Okay.
Where the 5 like Sadie Hawkins like King nominees, they all put together some sort of little skit and dance thing,
cute.
which was cute. This one, they're all in American flag print bathing suits.
Not bikinis. So
not bikinis.
that's
They are
good.
one pieces, but
Yeah.
still 5 high school girls parading around in bathing suits.
Yes. We see glimpses of the killer, and the killer is not in a shady side maroon
Baseball
jacket, but it is like this kind of like pleathery plastic, kind of like Catwoman suit.
Yeah, but like a raincoat, like a trench coat,
Yeah,
but
raincoat.
plastic, bright red.
And it's a bright red. Has an axe. We never saw an axe in the novel. Everyone was stabbed
Right.
in their bedrooms. So that's a deviation from it. Everyone's talking about you're never going to be prom queen. So
Yeah.
it seems very,
Much of a more like
competitive.
hostile
Yeah.
competition between the nominees.
yeah. I have a feeling this is going to be nothing like the book.
It doesn't look recognizable to me having just finished the book.
Right.
Yeah. If you showed me that, I wouldn't really connect the two. I'd be like, oh, it's another horror prom night thing, but like,
Yeah. I do have high hopes for it because I really enjoyed Netflix's Fear Street, the 1994, 1776, or 1976, and then 1666. It was the trilogy.
oh yeah, yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It was good.
Okay,
It
I
was
did not
just-
see that, but
It was just Fear Street in name. And I think this Prom Queen is just going to be Prom Queen in name
yeah,
only.
yeah, it really seems like it.
Well, thank you so much for technically being my first guest,
Yay.
even though this is the 15th book in the series. And you will be on again?
Yes, I will come back.
Okay, good. Until then.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Fearopoly Street. Please join me and my next guest at the end of June as we discuss the very first Fear Street book, The New Girl.